Any little addition to you is always a bonus. One level of knowledge can be 10 steps in your progress. One level of knowledge, one added bit of knowledge, one added bit of information can mean a massive change in the dynamics of your growth. Questions not only lead to answers, but questions initiate direction. They point to outcomes. The questions, of course, represent need. And if I look at a need from the perspective of hunger. When you're physically hungry, there's a reason why you are hungry, because your body needs food. So I was writing today that hunger for a specific thing means you are aware of your need of it. Hunger for a specific thing means you're aware of your need of it. When you're hungry, you're like, I need food. I'm thirsty. I need to drink water. I need to drink fluid. Hunger is a sign that you're reaching out for something. So when I'm aware of my need of that thing, and then I go for the thing, I'm reaching out for it, and I'm seeking after that thing. The posture or attitude of ask, seek, and knock comes out from that place of hunger, need, desperation, and the fourth one, questions. We often don't realize the importance of questions. So we don't realize that questions lead to answers. Just like asking means you shall receive. Seeking means you shall find. Knocking on the door means the door's going to be open. A question is that. The question does the asking, the question does the seeking, the question does the finding. Follow? You'll never get an answer unless you've asked the question. You never get clarity in an area that's like, oh, it's a bit cloudy there, a bit hazy there. There's no clarity there. Maybe because you haven't yet asked the question that will reach into the cloud and pull out that answer for you. So I think the good practice in any meeting, like if I go to a meeting and when the person speaking or leading the meeting says, any questions? And I look across the room and no one's asking questions. I then take the initiative to ask a question for them. I might know the answer, but I initiate the discussion. So the next point is, I was writing something on the power of discussions. Proverbs 15:22-23. Without counsel, purposes are disappointed, but in the multitude of counselors, they are established. A man hath joy by the answer of his mouth, and a word spoken in due season. How good is it? A discussion is counsel. Questions deployed are answers received. Questions released are answers received. That's a discussion. So there are fundamental or essential important things in the world. In the world today that keep a sustained life, that sustain the progress of life, they support life. When you think of it, everything is needed for the balance of life in somewhat way, give or take. So, and if you come to us at a human level, money, they say money makes the world go round. We transact through money. We have things and we give things through money. Like money is a communication tool. Without money is a measure of wealth. But there are other factors. If money makes the world go around, what about air? There are other essentials, other needs. But then money can't transact without communication. You follow? And that communication is the word called discussion. That discussion comes in many forms. The Bible uses the word counsel. Job chapter 12 verses 11-13. Doth not the ear try words, and the mouth taste his meat? With the ancient is wisdom, and the length of days understanding. With him is wisdom and strength. He hath counsel and understanding. 2 words. I read it because there's 2 words at the end. Counsel and understanding. So if I put it in our context, the discussion and understanding. I ask a question, I get an answer, then I understand. You follow? Is there any such a thing as asking the right question or asking the wrong question? I think that asking a question is essential. It's a necessity. So if you ask the right question, you get the right answer, right? But how do you get to the right question if you don't know what the right question is yet? I think I'll put it that way to answer the question. So I'm answering it with a question. Meaning, for me to get to that correct answer, I have to ask all the questions that might not be the right question. Eventually, they will lead me to the question that is the right question. So no question is a silly question. There's no such thing as a silly question, which is true. So your questions help you to narrow down to the answer. So it's closing that gap. It's closing the gap of the lack of knowledge thereof. The lack of knowledge in between that space there. Usually, the space that exists between the answer and you is all the questions you have not yet asked. There's one question that when you finally hit it, you will need no explanation for it. When your understanding grabs a hold of the answer, you will need no further explanation of it, because what you understand immediately, your body, your soul and spirit respond in a way that take that and adopt it. You take ownership of it. You go, I know what that means. And all of a sudden, that then goes from a thing you were looking for to a thing you now have as a testimony, as thing that you now have a witness on the inside of you as a knowing, and therefore you can speak about what you have seen and heard. That's what John and Peter said to the Pharisees. We'll only tell you what we've seen and heard. You can say whatever you want, but we're going to speak about what we've seen and heard. They were testifying of a place that no longer was something they were just beholding. It became their experience. So the Holy Ghost is an experience. A journey into the presence is an experience. And I can't tell you about the presence if I have myself not gone to the presence, being in the presence and enjoyed the presence. And from the place I can say, this is what the presence is. I can then associate words that you might say, oh, what does that look like? If I say a word that you don't yet know the meaning of, it's maybe because you need to ask more other questions that will help you to come to the level of that understanding. And from that platform, then you ask new questions that will raise you up to the next level. Because what we talked about in the previous video, the next level only happens when you acquire new knowledge. New knowledge is the determining factor, is the thing that causes you to enter in the next level. You can't say, oh, next level. Next level what? Knowledge is the decider. The level of understanding is the thing that reveals the level of your platform. We are all separated. We are all in different levels because of the level of our understanding. A man of God walks at a certain level because of his understanding. Closeness to God is revelation revealed. The more close I get to God, God Himself is revelation. When the angels behold Him, they continue to see revelation. God is not just like, oh, I'll tell you when I need to speak. No, my closeness to Him causes continuous flow of revelation. I was just reading about Bill Johnson's book, Face to Face, about the posture of waiting. That the Hebrew understanding of waiting is not how we understand it today. Let's wait. No, the Hebrew understanding of waiting is an aggressive posture, looking, an ambush. He said, I will wait for the Lord. An ambush. I will look to see. I will grab a hold of. And he used a really good example, the one we always talk about, the example of the woman with the issue of blood. She came and she had the posture. She was waiting to grab hold that in him, and if I will only touch the edge of his garment. So she got herself in a ready attitude, a ready posture. She says, I'm going to grab. That's the waiting. So when you say, I wait upon the Lord, they're not like, revelation's not coming, so I'll wait till revelation comes. Oh, it's a dry season, revelation hasn't come. No, because the waiting in God is an active thing. The very act of asking a question is doing that. Ask, seek, and knock. I will ask is the question. Oh, I ask. But seeking too is a question. Knocking too is a question, because you're knocking for a response. You're seeking for something to show up, So when you ask a question, you deploy those three things straight away. Those three attitudes, those three postures, those three mindsets straight away. Ask, seek, and knock. If you've asked me a question, then you're expecting an answer from me, right? And I said, oh, I don't have the answer. So, no, he doesn't have the answer. Okay, so that's that one other point. What if you don't get your answer? So most people who don't get their answer, they disengage. And they don't continue to deploy the question until they get an answer. You follow? Because questions are in themselves, ingrained in the very question you ask is the next step you have to take. The question is there because there's a next step you have to take. And after you've asked the question, a new step comes. A new level of knowledge comes. A new level of direction comes. But it comes from asking the question. And so, when we're talking about the presence, we're talking about the anointing, it's the mind of God revealed. It's the mind of God revealed, because He's answering a question. Any little addition to you is always a bonus. One level of knowledge can be 10 steps in your progress. One level of knowledge, one added bit of knowledge, one added bit of information can mean a massive change in the dynamics of your growth. It's what you discover that encourages progress. It's what you discover that opens the door, that allows momentum in your progress. Yeah. And videos are that. Videos on YouTube, Facebook are that. They initiate discussions. The person presenting whatever they're presenting is telling us, listen to me, I have this to tell you. Right? And then we become very specific in the type of discussion we want to entertain. Because the discussion we entertain hopefully is related to the question that we have asked or that we have on the inside of us. Yeah, because anything you don't relate to, you often won't participate with. But that also can be a downside, or can be in itself the very mistake that we are making. For those of us who go, oh, they're talking at a level I don't understand, or they're talking something that I know I need in my life, but it's a discussion at a level that, or in a different direction that doesn't relate to me. So sometimes then you go through a journey of learning all these other things, only to come back to that very discussion you hadn't understood initially, and then you go, oh yeah, it's only because I didn't understand what they were talking about, but it was relevant to what I asked. I'm just giving it as an example. When someone says 100 words in a talk, I am looking for his or her emphasis. When they stop and they repeat something, or they're emphasizing something, it means that the thing they're emphasizing is the thing you really, really need to put 100%, or you need to put more attention to it than the other things that connect to that thing. It's a reference point in their discussion. It's a key point in their discussion. And when they emphasize that thought, they're saying to you, pay attention to this. So in the 100 words that he's spoken or she's spoken, I'm looking for the pointers. And out of that might be only 10 words. And you come away, do you think you were beneficial after that? Because you only took 10 words? Absolutely. Because you took those 10 words. Oh, but Pastor, I missed the 90 words. Yeah, because the 90 words supported the 10 words. They just helped you to understand. They were around, they surrounded the very thing that you needed to grasp. The 90 other words were just there to clarify what those 10 words were. That when you grab a hold of them, you're like, oh yeah, I know what I need to do too. And we understand to apply. In my wisdom book, we understand to apply. Because knowledge is for application. Knowledge not used has no purpose. It's just knowledge. It exists. It has purpose to exist, I guess we could say that. But we understand to apply.